But yeah, the Arn Fendek is it's often considered one of the more plausible cryptids
Hmm.
because its terrain would be so isolated, and then you also have the stories about humanoids that lived with modern humans around that area around the same time, like fossils being found of small humanoids that lived side by side with man.
Yes, sir. And I have a bunch of notes on those if you want to hear
Oh,
about
now
them.
is the time, bro.
Okay, so on the island of Flores of the Philippines, they had the hobbit known as Homo floresiensis. I messed that up, but anyway, you get the point.
That
So
sounds about right.
people found these fossils in a cave, and like they were very isolated caves, and they only found enough fossils to essentially make up a group of, I believe they said seven. So I think it's interesting the fact that they could find just an entire race of Homo that, well, they could only find proof of seven of them existing. And I'm sure there was more because, you can't just immediately drop off the upright Homo ladder.
Yeah,
But
sure,
anyway,
sure. I mean, and like these fossils obviously are not easy to come by as it is. So like for every fossil we have, there's like 100 that we haven't seen.
yeah, and they originally only found a molar that they originally thought would have belonged to a child, but then they looked at how much the molar was like worn down through just life, and they determined that it had to been like a 30-something-year-old. I guess, well, I'll just call them homos because that's what they are.
That's fine.
So some of the notes I have were on this island. They found other fossil remnants of like dwarf mammoths. So there's a pretty interesting. It's definitely a proven hypothesis, but so have you heard about island dwarfism?
Yes, absolutely. When an isolated population has limited resources, therefore the smallest members of the gene pool thrive.
Exactly. So that's what I think happened. Like these could have been, some proto Homo that ended up getting isolated on this island, and eventually the resources were so small because primitive humanoid species, like they started to regress in size, especially with the all the fossils that they found of the small mammoths. But it was really funny because on that island also they found giant bipedal flightless birds,
I see.
which happens a lot, which is
Were they
island gigantism.
carnivorous?
Oh yeah, they were like I don't remember what species they were, but they were essentially birds that lived on the island.
Yeah, that's about the
Mm.
most horrifying thing I can imagine.
Imagine a 10-foot tall predatory bird that could literally just bite
Oh,
your arm
dude,
off.
because they're like so soulless. The way they move, it's like robotic. The way they jerk
Oh my
around.
god.
I don't know. It's like it's basically a dinosaur.
Yeah. And another thing that I found interesting was like they were trying to compare them to a more like advanced ape species rather than originally before they put them in the
Yeah.
Homo floresiensis classification. They, were they sophisticated enough that they had fire, they had stone tools. So, that puts them in the category, I guess, with Homo erectus and Homo sapiens, because the only animals that really use tools are essentially like chimps and like some birds, and those are
There,
mostly just sticks.
there's also a distinction between something that a creature that uses tools and something that will make tools. That comes up a
Yes,
lot in
exactly.
Bigfoot debates. Is that like Bigfoot seems to be something that can kind of like create a thing, as opposed to a gorilla or a chimp who will find a stick that will be used for
Mhm.
a specific purpose. It's
And these
the
are made out
slight
of stone
differentiation.
tool or stone too. So that shows a level of intelligence. And
Yeah.
they said that they had the cranium size of a chimpanzee, but an upright bipedal, like humanoid gait about them. So they obviously were a primitive species of humans,
I
essentially.
I think there's like enough evidence out there to say that cranium size is no indication of intelligence.
Hmm.
Especially if your adaptation is to be smaller to use less resources.
Mm. So I don't want to jump around too much, but recently, within the last couple years, they found another species of human on another island, and this one is called Homo luzoensis. And the interesting thing about that is, like how we were talking about, the Bigfoot connection to Australopithecus before, like the fossils that they found, the first one was a toe fossil, and it was curved in the way that how chimpanzees or orangutans have the ability to clutch with their feet, but they still classified it as in the Homo genera, which is really fascinating, honestly, because that means that they found a literal possible missing link between humans and apes. Because they hypothesized.
Whoa. I got a bone to pick with this missing link thing.
Oh, God.
Establish what makes something a missing link right now for me.
Well, like I said, they classified it as, in the Homo.
Uh-huh.
And they said that the way that they found the caves, that it had to have been another, like, familiar species, like Homo floresiensis, that was able to use tools and make fire.
How is this a fucking missing link?
That's what I'm saying, because they had different kinds of feet that were able to, like, grip things, not like how humans could.
Dude, here's the thing about this, and this triggers the fuck out of me. There's no, like, missing link. Like, you can have, like, a line of like, evolution and, like, biological diversity, and, like, you can see the way it goes, and you can see the branches that split off, but, like, you don't really see, like, these relic populations of things that didn't evolve, or the things that branched off from them did evolve. Like, you don't have these, like, middle things. You have different branches and different species, but there's no,
I know
like,
that,
in-between thing to ever find.
But what I'm saying is that they still classified it as, like, Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, and it had feet that were able to grip things that were different than. Well, this is just what the article I was reading.
I'm just gonna grief you through this whole fucking thing, dude. You're not gonna be able to get through it. I'm sorry.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. So you found the missing link. It had the fucking the divergent big toe is what you're saying, right? So it's basically the opposable thumb on the foot, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's another thing. Like, I'm just gonna fucking keep bringing Bigfoot into it too, every goddamn time. Because let me tell you, he's got a slightly divergent big toe, and that's one of the telltale signs that you're dealing with a Bigfoot. You're not being gang stalked. That the knocking on your windows isn't the FBI agents. It's just Bigfoot. Don't worry, you're fine.
Just digging through my trash to find any incriminating documents.
Yeah, it's Bigfoot, dude. It's just Bigfoot.
This is Agent Bigfoot.
It's very, very amusing to me. While we're talking,
I'm glad my front door's locked.
While we're talking about weird shit in the woods, I got to play this video since we got so far off the Aring Pendek thing, and this thing was tangentially related. But it's just as good now. It's just as good now, I can assure you. So, this is a video of some guys who are on some motorbikes just riding around, and something runs out.
Okay.
There, you see something just ran out of the grass. It picked up a stick. Now it's running that away. Go get him, guy. There he is. Oh, look at that shit. And he runs off into the tall grass, never to be seen again. I'm going to take it back a little bit. It's weird.
Huh. Oh, that was weird.
I'm going to get some better stills of it. There he runs out. He picked up a little stick that was sitting over in the grass. And there's nothing about this screams fake to me. I don't know what this is that I'm looking at, but it's a real thing. I believe it's a real thing that actually ran out, picked up a stick, and started running.
Honestly, oh, wow. Man.
Amazing video.
Either that's like really good like editing, or because that would be the right height.
Yeah, no, it totally, and its proportions don't look childlike to
No,
me. It looks like an adult.
it looks like a small human.
Yeah, yeah. And you can find better videos than that out there, better analysis of it, where it gets like the better stills and you can see some detail. This thing does not look fake. I don't know what the hell it is, but it does not look like a fake video to me. It doesn't look like a. I don't know. I don't know how to say it exactly. Maybe it's just a kid. I don't know. But it's a weird fucking video, I think.
It is. Wow, I've never seen this. That's really surprising because like I combed the internet for stuff. I guess I just missed it. Huh.
I found this in my Bigfoot uh, research, I guess you'll call it. In the research. Speaking of fucking random little people coming out of nowhere, what? Tell me about a midget village. I hear you got a midget village. I got a midget village. I'm thinking they might be more common than we've realized.
Okay, so up. Let me preface this in, I guess, the funniest way I can think of. So, around my city, we have this place called Rumpke. It's a dump. And I guess, some mayor or councilman or something ended up dubbing it Mount Rumpke because there's so much trash.
Oh, nice.
So, up by this place called Mount Rumpke, if you drive out a little bit into the country, you can come across this little, what it was called was like the little village or something. And it's really, I've been to this place. I've literally seen these little houses, and they literally are houses made for midgets.
Yeah.
And it's the weirdest, like it's supposed to be some urban legend or something. I've been to a few of the urban legend like sites and stuff, and like I see what they're talking about. But this is one of the ones that's like, oh, it's an urban legend, but it also exists, and you can go right there right now.
Why do you think they congregated there?
I guess. Well, the story in my city is that these little people originally worked in, circus and carnivals and stuff, and apparently they made some kind of like little community amongst themselves around the city I live in, and decided to just, when they were done with the carnival and the circus and all that stuff, just go and do their own thing to be around their own people, so that I guess they weren't mocked by regular sized people. That's what I think.
That's the exact story I'm saying. I got a bit of an article in front of me from WeirdNJ.com called Small Wonders of Midgetville. And I quote, "It seems to be human nature that people are captivated by miniature versions of everyday things. This is probably no place more evident than in the case of people's fascination with the smaller version of themselves, namely midgets. Little people have always been showstoppers in circuses and sideshows, on the stage and on the silver screen. In the 1800s, the world fell in love with P.T. Barnum's General Tom Thumb. Then all of that crap became the stuff of legend. There is perhaps no more fabled place in our state than the mythical village of Midgetville. Spurred on by tales of this tiny town and its wee inhabitants, Weird NJ has visited at least a half a dozen locations rumored to be home of a colony of these vertically challenged individuals." So they're saying it's an urban legend too, that they haven't actually found the fucking thing. And I see lots of pictures of these fucking tiny houses. But one person who has gone in search of the place has this to say. "There is this place called Midget Town. It's a whole town full of midgets and albinos. As a child growing up in North Bergen, I heard many stories of this town, but nobody ever wanted to show us because we were too young to visit. As years passed, the legend of Midget Town faded, but was still in the back of our minds waiting to be refreshed. In high school, my friends and I did many stupid things. One day we were all drinking and met up with some people out in the Boulevard East Cliffs. This one kid from the crew we met told us the story of Midget Town and how he had been there and was nearly killed. We all listened with disbelief, but his details of the story made us want to believe. He told us that he drove through the town late at night with his friends with the headlights turned off. They all started yelling, 'Fee, fi, fo, fum,' over and over again. A couple of minutes later, they noticed that things were hitting the car hard. After the back window broke, they noticed that it was rocks being thrown at the car by midgets all over the area. He told us there were also some normal-sized people there too, but they had weird-looking eyes. So I'm thinking reptilian immediately. When he was done
It's
with his
reptilians
story,
or Pendek.
exactly. When he was done with his story, we all wanted to go see this village for ourselves. The kid was hesitant to show us, but due to all the peer pressure from all the kids around him, he finally agreed. We all got into cars and drove to the spot. I'm not sure exactly what town we were in, but it was real close to the entrance to the George Washington Bridge. As we entered, we noticed that the houses were unusually small. The doors were just about 5 feet high, and the roads were very tight. All of a sudden, we saw little midgets running after our cars, and they were throwing rocks. We didn't stay because the kid who owned the car didn't want the car to get messed up, so we left. We were all amazed at the amount of midgets that were there and how pissed off they were. We never had the balls to go back to Midget Town after what happened to us that day. We all tell our back in the day stories to each other, but this one is one that always sticks out. From Polo Bear. Fee, fi, fo, fum. That's fucking great.
God, the evilness of fucking young people. Just fucking...
Nah, dude, that's fucking based.
Based!